Why did medieval peasants sleep better than we do? The reasons will surprise you, so let me reveal the secrets of the Middle Ages. We live in an age of incredible comfort, with orthopedic mattresses and meditation apps. But millions of us suffer from insomnia, anxiety, and chronic fatigue. We swallow sleeping pills and desperately search for ways to improve our sleep. What if I told you that a medieval peasant sleeping on a haystack in a cold hut had much healthier and better quality sleep than we do? Their lives were full of hard work and deprivation, but they possessed the secret to restful sleep that we have completely lost. This secret is built into human biology, and the modern world has caused us to forget it. Watch the video to the end to find out why dividing sleep into two parts was the norm, and how this forgotten rhythm can change your perception of rest. I will reveal the most closely guarded secret of our ancestors, which modern science is only beginning to rediscover. We are accustomed to thinking of 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep as the gold standard of health. This idea is so ingrained in our minds that we perceive any awakening in the middle of the night as a problem, as a symptom of insomnia. But for people in the pre-industrial era, uninterrupted sleep was as rare as complete silence is for us today. Their night was divided into two distinct parts, known as first and second sleep. This was not a disruption, but a natural and accepted rhythm of life for thousands of years. Peasants went to bed shortly after sunset, around 8 or 9 p.m. They slept until midnight or 1 a.m. and then woke up. This period of wakefulness lasted 1 to 2 hours and was a perfectly normal part of their night. After this break, they fell asleep again, plunging into a second sleep that lasted until dawn. Thus, their total sleep duration remained sufficient, but its structure was completely different. This sleep pattern was so widespread that it is mentioned in hundreds of historical documents, from court records to personal diaries. Modern historians and sleep researchers confirm that this two-phase sleep pattern is natural for humans. When people are placed in conditions without artificial lighting, their sleep naturally reverts to this ancient pattern. This proves that we have hacked our own biological code to suit our modern lifestyle. This nighttime break was not a time for anxiety and worry, as it is for us. On the contrary, it was the most peaceful and personal moment of the day. People use this time for reflection, quiet conversation, or prayer. Medieval people did not suffer from interrupted sleep. They lived in harmony with it. Waking up in the middle of the night did not cause them to panic and think, "Why am I not sleeping?" They simply accepted it as a given, as a natural pause in the course of the night. Modern people waking up at 3 in the morning look at the clock and start to get nervous because they have to get up soon. Peasants, on the other hand, simply knew that they still had time for a second morning sleep. This was their psychological advantage. We would be very interested to hear your point of view. What do you think about this division of sleep, and could such a schedule fit into your modern life? Write about it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our new research. Are you ready to learn the truth about what people really did in the darkest hours of the night? The period of wakefulness between two sleeps, which historian Roger E. Kirk called sentinel, was not wasted time. It was a unique window for activities that were impossible in the hustle and bustle of daily life. This mysterious hour between the first and second sleep was a special state of consciousness, inaccessible to modern humans with their continuous 8 hours of sleep. People woke up naturally around midnight or 1 a.m., fully rested after the first 3 to 4 hours of deep sleep. Their minds were surprisingly clear and their bodies relaxed. It was not like modern insomnia with its anxiety and fatigue. On the contrary, this state was characterized by deep calm and a special mental clarity that many described as close to a meditative trance. Unlike our world, where the night is flooded with artificial light and the silence is broken by the sounds of machines and electronics, the medieval night plunged people into absolute darkness and silence. The only sounds were the breathing of sleepers, the crackling of coals in the hearth, and the occasional howling of the wind outside the walls. This sensory deprivation created ideal conditions for diving into the depths of one's own consciousness. Thoughts flowed slowly and smoothly, uninterrupted by external stimuli. People could spend hours reflecting on a single idea, examining it from different angles, reaching a depth of understanding that was inaccessible in the hustle and bustle of the day.
Even after all these years.
Nighttime conversations between spouses or family members had a special quality of intimacy and candor. In the pitch darkness, when the expression on the other person's face was not visible, people dared to talk about things they would never have discussed in the light of day. Confessions, declarations of love, secret dreams and fears. All of this was poured out in the safe space of the night's darkness. Parents passed on family secrets and stories of their ancestors to their children during these hours. Teenagers received guidance about life, marriage, and responsibility. These whispered conversations created invisible threads connecting generations. The religious practice of night vigils had its roots in early Christian traditions. Monks practiced night vigils for centuries, and this tradition permeated popular culture. There were entire collections of special night prayers, which differed from daytime prayers in their greater personal focus and mystical depth. Believers believed that during these hours, the boundary between the earthly and the divine became thinner. Many saints and mystics described their visions and revelations that occurred during night vigils. Peasants believed that prayers said at this time had special power. The few who could afford a candle or oil lamp used this time for reading, but it was a special, slow reading, different from daytime reading. In the dim, flickering light, one had to read syllable by syllable, savoring every word. The Bible, the lives of the saints, sometimes chivalric novels or herbalists were read and reread until their content was imprinted in the memory forever. Illiterate family members gathered around the reader, absorbing the stories, which they then pondered in the darkness. This created a common cultural space where the written word was intertwined with oral tradition. Medical beliefs of the time attached special importance to intimacy during the period between two sleeps. Doctors claimed that at this time, the body's vital juices were in perfect balance. A man regained his strength during his first sleep, but had not yet expended it on his daily labors. Women were in a state of maximum receptivity. It was believed that children conceived during these hours would be healthier and smarter. This intimacy was characterized by a leisurely pace and tenderness that would have been impossible at the end of an exhausting day. Spouses could afford long caresses and quiet conversations that strengthened their emotional bond. Practical tasks performed at night were shrouded in a special atmosphere of mystery. The master of the house could quietly get up and check the locks on the doors, make sure that the coals in the hearth had not completely gone out. Movements were slow and careful so as not to wake the sleepers. Some women used this time to prepare special potions and infusions, which, according to popular belief, acquired healing powers at night. Bakers began kneading dough for morning bread. These quiet nighttime rituals created a sense of participation in the secret life of the world, running parallel to the hustle and bustle of the day. The psychological state of nighttime wakefulness was unique from the point of view of brain neurochemistry. Modern research has shown that this is when the production of prolactin, the hormone responsible for feelings of satisfaction and calm, peaks. The level of cortisol, the stress hormone, was at its lowest. Melatonin was still present in the blood, creating a state of semi-sleep, semi-wakefulness. This explains why people did not feel anxious about waking up in the middle of the night. They accepted it as a natural part of the daily rhythm, as normal as sunrise and sunset. But what else, besides the specific structure of sleep, distinguished the nighttime rest of peasants from ours? What if I told you that the very darkness we fear so much was their main ally in the fight for healthy sleep? What I am about to show you is something that modern civilization has forbidden for itself. We live in a world that never truly sleeps and is never completely dark. Streetlights, gadget screens, LED indicators, all of these create light pollution that disrupts our natural rhythms. Medieval nights were completely different. After sunset and the extinguishing of the hearth, the world was plunged into almost complete darkness. This darkness was so deep that it is difficult for modern city dwellers to even imagine. It was this impenetrable darkness that was the key factor in healthy sleep. Our brains are designed to produce melatonin, the main sleep hormone, only in complete darkness. Peasants had no problem with this. The absence of artificial light meant that their blue screens, were the morning and daytime sky. Their eyes received the right light signals at the right time. Bright daylight gave them energy, and the complete absence of light at night was a signal for deep sleep.
End of the day signals the coming of night.
Even moonlight or starlight could not compare in intensity to a modern street lamp outside the window. Night was a time of rest for the visual system. The eyes did not receive stimulating signals, which contributed to the relaxation of the entire body. This darkness also influenced the psychological perception of night. Night was a time when all work ceased. There was no temptation to sit for another hour doing something, as we do with a book or a TV series. The only source of light in the house was the hearth, but it was kept smoldering to save firewood. The dim embers did not provide enough light for active work, but they created a feeling of comfort and security. Expensive wax candles were available only to the aristocracy and the church. Modern research shows that even brief exposure to light from a smartphone screen at night suppresses melatonin production for several hours. Medieval peasants were completely protected from this problem. Their hormonal systems worked like clockwork, perfectly synchronized with natural cycles. Thus, absolute darkness was not a disadvantage, but a powerful natural sleep aid. It provided ideal conditions for initiating and maintaining all phases of deep sleep. We, however, traded this treasure for the convenience of artificial lighting. Are you ready to find out why life without clocks made people more punctual? Modern people live according to a schedule set by clocks and calendars. We wake up to an alarm clock, work from 9 to 6, and often ignore the signals from our own bodies. The paradox of modern life is that the more devices we have to measure time, the less we feel its natural passage. We wear watches on our wrists, check the time on our phones dozens of times a day, live by calendars and reminders, but at the same time we are constantly late and complain about the lack of time. Medieval man, without a single device for measuring time, lived in amazing harmony with the rhythms of time. His internal clock was set with the precision of a Swiss chronometer because it was calibrated by nature itself every day. Medieval peasants existed in a fundamentally different time continuum, where time was not linear but cyclical. Their day did not begin at an arbitrarily chosen hour, but with the first crow of the rooster, which unerringly sensed the approach of dawn. This natural alarm clock went off half an hour before sunrise, giving them time to prepare for the new day. Interestingly, roosters in different households crowed almost simultaneously, creating a wave of sound that rolled through the village. This was the first time marker of the day, understood by everyone from young to old. The entire daily routine was built around the movement of the sun across the sky with mathematical precision. The morning hours, when the sun rose above the horizon, were the time for the hardest work: plowing, mowing, and chopping wood. The body, receiving a powerful light signal, produced maximum cortisol and testosterone, ensuring peak physical strength and endurance. By noon, when the sun reached its zenith, activity naturally decreased. This was the time for the main meal of the day and a short rest in the shade. In the afternoon, work resumed, but with less intensity, repairing tools, tending livestock, working in the garden. The synchronization of the internal biological clock with the solar cycle was remarkably perfect. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, the main driver of rhythm in the brain, received clear light signals through the retina of the eye. Morning light with an intensity of 10,000 lux instantly suppressed melatonin production and triggered a cascade of hormonal changes. Body temperature rose, heart rate increased, and the digestive system became more active. By evening, when the light became warm and dim, the reverse process began. The pineal gland began to produce melatonin, body temperature dropped, and metabolism slowed down. Seasonal adaptation of sleep and wakefulness patterns occurred automatically, without any effort of will. In summer, when daylight hours reached 16 hours, peasants got up at 4 in the morning and worked until 9 in the evening. Their sleep was reduced to 6 to 7 hours, but this was enough thanks to the intense daylight, which stimulated the production of serotonin. In winter, the picture changed dramatically. People spent up to 12 hours in bed, getting up only at dawn at 8 in the morning and going to bed at dusk at 5 in the evening. This seasonal variability in sleep corresponded to the body's natural need for recovery. The absence of an alarm clock made waking up a physiologically correct process. A person woke up at the end of the rapid eye movement, REM sleep cycle, when the brain was most ready to transition to a state of wakefulness. Cortisol levels began to rise an hour before waking up, preparing the body for activity. Body temperature rose gradually, breathing quickened, and muscles gradually came into tone. This was radically different from modern alarm clock waking, which often occurs during deep sleep, causing a state of sleep inertia that lasts for hours. Daily activity was not governed by the clock, but by the position of the sun and the weather. Peasants were able to determine the time with an accuracy of 15 minutes by the length of shadows, the brightness of light, and the behavior of animals. Cows went to be milked at the same time every day, and chickens returned to the coop with clockwork precision. Church bells ringing for matins, midday, and vespers served as additional time markers, but they only confirmed what the body already knew. This system was so reliable that tardiness for community work or church services was extremely rare. The evening ritual of preparing for bed began at dusk and lasted 2 to 3 hours. As the light faded, activity gradually decreased. First, heavy work ceased, then minor household chores, then dinner by the light of the hearth, and finally, quiet conversations in the semi-darkness. This gradual slowdown gave the nervous system time to switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic mode. By the time they went to sleep, the body and mind were completely ready for rest, and falling asleep took only a few minutes. Life without artificial lighting meant that circadian rhythms were never disrupted. Modern humans are exposed to light in the evening that is equivalent to midday sun. This shifts melatonin production forward by several hours, creating chronic jet lag. Medieval peasants received clear light signals. Bright light during the day, dim candlelight in the evening, and complete darkness at night. Their brains always knew exactly what time it was, without any clocks. This simplicity and clarity of signals ensured stable, predictable, and restorative sleep. But how did the physical conditions of their lives affect their rest? In the next chapter, you will learn why hard work was the best sleeping pill imaginable. The life of a medieval peasant was synonymous with hard physical labor. From dawn to dusk, they worked in the fields using only primitive tools. This daily physical exertion was one of the key factors that ensured they had deep and restorative sleep. Their work included plowing the land, sowing seeds, weeding, and harvesting crops. All of this required tremendous physical effort. They did not sit for 8 hours in an office in front of a computer. Their bodies were constantly in motion. By the end of the day, farmers experienced real physical fatigue, not mental fatigue like modern people. This condition, known as homeostatic sleep pressure, is a powerful stimulus for falling asleep. Simply put, their bodies desperately needed rest and recovery. They did not need special training or trips to the gym. Their daily life was one continuous, functional workout. They lifted heavy weights, walked a lot, and worked in different positions, which kept their bodies in shape. Physical activity during the day promotes deeper sleep phases at night. It is during deep sleep that muscles, tissues, and the entire physiology of the body are restored. This sleep phase was probably much more pronounced in peasants than it is in us. Modern people often suffer from insomnia due to the mismatch between mental fatigue and physical vigor. Our brains are exhausted, but our bodies have not received enough exercise and have not earned their sleep. Peasants simply did not have this problem. Their diet, although meager, consisted of simple and natural foods. They ate a lot of grains, vegetables, and legumes, which gave them energy for work. The absence of processed foods and sugar also had a positive effect on the quality of their sleep. In the evening, after a hard day, their only desire was to get to bed and fall asleep. They didn't need to count sheep or use relaxation techniques. Their sleep was a well-deserved reward for their daily labor. This direct and honest connection between daytime activity and nighttime rest is something we have almost completely lost. We try to trick our bodies with sleeping pills instead of giving them what they really need: sufficient physical activity. Thus, the hard labor that seems like a terrible curse of the Middle Ages was actually a blessing for their nervous system and sleep quality. They fell asleep with the sleep of a tired person, and that sleep was truly deep and healing. Want to know a secret that will change your life and your attitude toward problems? We are accustomed to thinking of our era as the pinnacle of civilization, but it has also brought us a new kind of suffering, chronic stress. The constant flow of information, social media, the career race, all of this keeps our nervous system in a state of constant tension. Medieval peasants lived in a much simpler and more predictable world. Their concerns were limited to the village, family, and harvest. They did not experience stress from reading news about events on the other side of the world. Their lives were cyclical and subject to the changing seasons. They knew when to sow and when to harvest. This predictability, although it carried the risk of crop failure, provided a basic sense of order and stability. Of course, they had their own, much more serious fears: hunger, disease, war. However, these threats were concrete and understandable, not abstract and omnipresent like our modern anxieties. Their stress was acute and situational, not chronic in background. The absence of information noise was a huge blessing for their psyche. In the evening, their brains were not overloaded with information that needed to be digested. Silence and darkness contributed to the natural calming of the mind. Social life was simple and straightforward. They lived in a close-knit community where everyone knew their place and their role. There was no exhausting race for status as it exists today.
Fresh today.
Oh, bless you.
Their worldview was permeated by religion, which provided answers to the main questions of existence. Belief in the divine order and the afterlife, whatever it might be, provided comfort and reduced existential anxiety. They felt part of a grand plan. They did not experience FOMO, fear of missing out. They did not compare their lives to idealized images on social media. Their circle of comparison was limited to their neighbors. Their whole life contributed to their minds naturally calming down by evening. After hard work and a simple family dinner, they had neither the strength nor the reason for long reflection and anxious thoughts. Their minds were as tired as their bodies. This mental silence is the greatest luxury, inaccessible to most of us. On the contrary, before going to bed, we stimulate our brains with smartphones, which is a direct path to insomnia. Do you think you could live at least a week without news and social media? But where and on what did these people sleep so soundly? In the next chapter, we will examine the structure of a medieval bed and find out why it was the center of family social life. The modern bedroom is a bastion of privacy, a personal space where outsiders are not allowed. We value individual comfort and personal boundaries. However, for a medieval peasant, the idea of sleeping alone would have been strange and even frightening. The whole family, and sometimes several generations, slept in one room. Often it was the only room in the house, serving as a kitchen, living room, and bedroom. Poor peasants may not have had beds as separate pieces of furniture. Most often, the sleeping place was a large mattress or mattress stuffed with straw, hay, or dry leaves. This mattress lay directly on the floor or on a low wooden platform. It was large enough to accommodate the entire family. People slept together, huddled close to each other. This was necessary to stay warm, as heating in the form of an open hearth was ineffective, and it was very cold in the house at night. The warmth of human bodies was the most accessible source of heat. Such collective sleeping gave a strong sense of security. In a dark and dangerous world, the closeness of loved ones was reassuring. Nighttime fears were easier to bear when your loved ones were sleeping next to you. The family hierarchy was observed even in sleep. The head of the household and his wife slept in the center, as it was the warmest and safest place. The rest of the family slept around the edges. Of course, hygiene in the modern sense was out of the question. The straw in the mattresses was changed once a year at best. But in the context of that time, this was the norm. This way of sleeping from birth taught people to be in close contact with others. It formed strong family and community ties. Sleep was not an escape into one's personal world, but a collective shared activity. The lack of personal space, which we consider a disadvantage, was an advantage for them. It strengthened the sense of belonging to a group. This provided psychological support in difficult times. Thus, the medieval bed was not just a place to sleep, but a social institution. It united the family, provided warmth, and gave a sense of security. This is very different from our individualistic approach to sleep. We spend a lot of money on hypoallergenic materials and air purification systems in the bedroom. We are afraid of drafts and sleep with the windows tightly closed. Peasants, on the other hand, slept in conditions that today would be called eco-friendly. albeit for completely different reasons. The modern bedroom is a sealed capsule filled with petrochemical products. Polyurethane foam mattresses emit toluene and formaldehyde. Carpets exude benzene, and chipboard furniture constantly evaporates phenols. We surround ourselves with ionizers, humidifiers, and air purifiers in an attempt to fix what we ourselves have ruined. Medieval peasants did not need such devices because their homes were part of the natural ecosystem. They breathed air that did not pass through air conditioning filters and slept on materials that grew in the fields and forests around their homes. The design of medieval dwellings provided constant natural ventilation, which modern architects are trying to recreate with complex engineering systems. Log walls breathed through micropores in the wood, and clay plaster absorbed excess moisture and released it back when necessary. The thatched roof acted as a huge air filter, allowing air to pass through but trapping dust and moisture. The gaps between the logs, which could not be completely caulked, created a constant but not excessive air exchange. In a typical peasant house, the air was completely renewed every 2 to 3 hours without any mechanical systems. The problem of carbon dioxide accumulation, which affects residents of modern apartments, was unknown to medieval people. The concentration of CO2 in their homes rarely exceeded 600 parts per million, even with a whole family under one roof. For comparison, in a modern bedroom with closed windows, this figure can reach 2,000 parts per million by morning. High levels of carbon dioxide cause morning headaches, fatigue, and decreased cognitive function. Peasants woke up with a clear head precisely because of the constant flow of fresh air. Their brains received enough oxygen throughout the night, which ensured the full recovery of the nervous system. Cold and drafts were indeed the price to pay for good ventilation, but this price paid off handsomely. Cool air stimulated the production of brown fat, accelerated metabolism, and strengthened the immune system. A slight draft prevented the growth of mold and fungi, which thrive in the warm, humid environment of modern bedrooms. The constant movement of air prevented dust mites, the main culprits of allergies and asthma, from accumulating. Peasants compensated for the cold with thick sheep's wool blankets and fur capes, creating a localized zone of warmth around the body, but leaving the airways open to fresh air. The materials surrounding the sleeping peasant were an ideal combination from the point of view of modern ecology. The straw mattress was renewed every autumn, with fresh straw from the harvest. This straw was a natural antiseptic. It contained coumarins and other natural substances that repelled insects and prevented the growth of bacteria. Linen sheets had unique thermoregulatory properties. They cooled in the heat and warmed in the cold. Wool blankets not only retained heat, but also absorbed up to 30% of their own weight in moisture, while remaining dry to the touch. The chemical composition of the air in a peasant's house was a complex bouquet of natural aromas, each of which had its own effect on the body. The smell of wood smoke contained phenols with antibacterial properties. The scent of hay included dozens of essential oils, from soothing lavender to invigorating mint. The resinous smell of pine logs released terpenes, which improved lung function. Even the smell of the earthen floor was significant. Geosmin, a substance that gives the earth its characteristic smell, acts as a natural antidepressant. This aromatherapy worked throughout the night, gently affecting the nervous system through the olfactory receptors. The acoustic environment of a medieval dwelling also contributed to healthy sleep. Natural materials absorbed sharp sounds, creating a soft acoustic background. The rustling of straw, the creaking of wooden beams, the quiet crackling of coals in the hearth. These sounds were natural and did not cause a stress response. The frequency of these sounds was within a range that the brain perceives as safe. In comparison, the hum of a refrigerator or air conditioner creates a low-frequency vibration that is subconsciously perceived as a threat, increasing cortisol levels even during sleep. The electromagnetic environment in a medieval home was ideal for sleep. The absence of electricity meant the absence of electromagnetic fields, which surround us on all sides today. Modern research shows that even weak electromagnetic fields can disrupt melatonin production and sleep depth. Peasants slept in a completely neutral electromagnetic environment, which ensured the unimpeded functioning of the pineal gland and optimal secretion of sleep hormones. Contact with the earth, which modern science calls grounding or earthing, was a constant companion of peasant life. Earthen floors, walking barefoot, working with the soil with bare hands. All this ensured a constant exchange of electrons between the body and the earth. Modern research shows that grounding normalizes circadian rhythms, reduces inflammation, and improves sleep quality. Peasants receive these benefits automatically, simply by living their normal lives. Their bioelectric potential was always balanced with the potential of the earth. Thus, even in their poverty, medieval peasants had access to luxuries that we have lost: truly fresh air and natural materials. These factors, invisible at first glance, contributed significantly to the quality of their nighttime rest. It is almost impossible to imagine a modern person's morning without a cup of coffee. We use caffeine as fuel to get our bodies going and keep us going throughout the day. In the evening, we often consume alcohol to relax and relieve stress. Modern culture is built on chemical regulation of the state of consciousness. Morning coffee contains about 100 milligrams of caffeine, which blocks adenosine receptors in the brain, creating the illusion of alertness. By lunchtime, many people drink a second cup, and some even a third. Energy drinks add another 200-300 milligrams of caffeine, plus taurine and other stimulants. In the evening, a glass of wine or a bottle of beer is supposed to compensate for the overstimulation of the nervous system. This is a chemical seesaw on which our body swings every day, gradually destroying the natural mechanisms of sleep and wakefulness regulation. Medieval peasants existed in a completely different biochemical reality. Coffee did not appear in Europe until the 17th century, tea was unknown until the 16th, and refined sugar was more expensive than gold. Their bodies functioned on pure biochemistry without artificial neurotransmitter modulators. Morning alertness was achieved solely through the natural rise in cortisol and decrease in melatonin under the influence of sunlight. Daily activity was sustained by regular meals and physical labor. Evening fatigue was an honest signal from the body about the need for rest. Light beer or ale were indeed the main beverages, but their role was radically different from modern alcohol consumption. The alcohol content rarely exceeded 2 to 3%, less than in modern kefir. This beer was drunk from morning to night, including by children and pregnant women. It was safer than water because the fermentation process killed pathogens. Daily alcohol consumption was spread out evenly and never reached levels that could significantly affect the nervous system. Strong drinks made by distillation were pretty much unknown to regular folks until the late Middle Ages. The absence of caffeine had profound consequences for sleep architecture. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours, which means that a cup of coffee drunk at noon is still active in the body in the evening. Even if a person falls asleep, caffeine prevents them from reaching the deep stages of slow-wave sleep, which are critical for physical recovery. A peasant who was unfamiliar with caffeine went through all stages of sleep unimpeded. Their slow-wave sleep reached its maximum depth, ensuring complete tissue regeneration and memory consolidation. Natural energy regulation followed a predictable curve throughout the day. Peak activity occurred in the middle of the morning when cortisol levels were at their highest. A slight decline in the afternoon was compensated for by a short rest or a light meal. A second, less pronounced peak of activity occurred closer to evening, followed by a gradual decline. This curve closely matched the circadian rhythms of humans, developed over millions of years of evolution. There were no sharp ups and downs characteristic of the caffeine cycle. The peasant's evening diet promoted quality sleep. Dinner usually consisted of porridge, bread, and possibly a small amount of cheese or vegetables. This simple food was digested in 2 to 3 hours, leaving no heaviness in the stomach by the time the peasant went to bed. The absence of spices and stimulants meant that the digestive system could calmly complete its work. A light dinner also contributed to a slight drop in body temperature, which is a natural signal for falling asleep. Honesty about one's own fatigue was not a choice but a necessity. When the body demanded rest, there was no way to cheat it with chemicals. A farmer who felt tired during the harvest would take a break, lie down in the shade, and nap for 15 minutes. These short daytime naps, taken as needed, maintained productivity without accumulating sleep debt. There was no culture of overcoming fatigue through sheer force of will. Rest was considered as important a part of work as the work itself. The social attitude towards sleep and rest was fundamentally different. Sleeping when tired was considered a sign of wisdom, not laziness. A person who worked to the point of exhaustion was perceived as a fool who was squandering their health. Proverbs of the time reflect this attitude. Getting up early was valued, but not at the expense of sufficient sleep. A balance between work and rest was considered the basis for a long and productive life. The absence of artificial stimulants meant that the peasant's nervous system functioned in its natural mode. Neurotransmitters were produced and consumed according to genetically programmed cycles. Dopamine was released in response to real achievements, not chemical stimulation. Serotonin was maintained by physical activity and social connections. GABA, the main inhibitory neurotransmitter, performed its function unhindered in the evening, preparing the brain for sleep. Thus, the absence of stimulants was another important factor that protected their sleep. Their nervous system was not artificially overexcited. This allowed them to transition easily from a state of wakefulness to a state of deep rest. Our attitude towards sleep is ambivalent. On the one hand, we understand its importance, but on the other, we often perceive it as an annoying waste of time that could be spent on work or entertainment. We try to optimize sleep, reduce it, and subordinate it to our ambitious plans. For medieval people, sleep was not something that needed to be conquered or optimized. It was as natural and integral a part of life as breathing or eating. Night was not the enemy of productivity, but a time given by God for rest. Their perception of time was not linear, but cyclical. Each day repeated the previous one. Each year followed the change of seasons. This cyclicality extended to sleep, which was the natural conclusion of the daily cycle. They did not suffer from the pre-sleep anxiety that many modern people experience. They were not tormented by thoughts of unfinished business or plans for tomorrow. With the onset of darkness, all business naturally ceased until the next morning. Dreams were of great importance in medieval culture. They were considered messages from another world, prophecies or temptations. People took their dreams seriously, discussed them, and tried to interpret them. This gave the nighttime experience additional depth and meaning. Sleep was not just a physiological process, but a journey into another reality. This made it more valuable and meaningful. In their culture, there was no condemnation for sleepiness or the desire to rest. Fatigue was a natural consequence of hard work and was respected. No one demanded that peasants be alert and productive 24/7. The simplicity of their lives and thinking contributed to psychological relaxation. Their minds were not cluttered with complex concepts and abstract problems. This allowed them to more easily let go of their daily worries and fall asleep. We see that their entire life, from their daily routine to their belief system, was perfectly suited for healthy and natural sleep. They didn't read books on sleep hygiene, they simply lived it. Their lifestyle was the best therapy for insomnia. That is why, despite all the hardships, cold, and lack of comfort, medieval peasants slept better than we do. Their sleep was synchronized with nature, earned through honest labor, and untainted by stress and stimulants. This is the very paradise we desperately try to recreate with technology, forgetting that the secret lies in simplicity. The story of the medieval peasant's sleep is not just a collection of curious facts. It is a mirror that reflects all the problems of our modern approach to rest. We have traded natural rhythms for convenience, darkness for eternal light, and physical fatigue for mental exhaustion. Two-phase sleep, living according to the sun, and the absence of information noise were not signs of backwardness, but manifestations of a deep harmony between humans and nature. Peasants did not know the word somnology, but they intuitively understood the laws of healthy sleep much better than we do. Their experience proves that the healthiest sleep is the most natural sleep. Of course, we cannot go back to the past and give up the benefits of civilization, but we can learn from their wisdom, spend more time in the light during the day, and create maximum darkness at night. Listen to the signals of our body and appreciate silence. Perhaps then we can regain at least some of the deep and healing rest that was available to our ancestors. Which aspect of medieval life do you think contributed most to healthy sleep? Suggest topics for future videos that you would like to see on our channel in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes.